Yes. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the Muslim College graduation ceremony. In a little way, I can see the difference we are making in our community, and the work of the college is very much needed. Repeatedly this morning, you will hear of accreditation, then as a premier college, and we're publicizing this, we're promoting this. So this has been a very special year for the college in this respect. We will start today. We will try and keep with the schedule as far as is possible. Our best already, we've made small adjustments. But we will start first today by welcoming our graduands into the auditorium. And what I'd like you to do as they come in is simply to stand and welcome them. And then we will proceed. So we can have our students. We will begin with the Holy Quran, and I will ask Dr. Musa Al-Blazi, Arabic tutor and librarian at the college, to come forward and recite the Quran, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم ملك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you to Dr. Musa for those beautiful words, recitation from our Holy Quran. In many ways, the work of the college, its education, is underpinned by the values of tolerance, of pluralism, of greater understanding that are part of the Quranic ethos and our faith. And it's what the college was, is, and will continue to be about taking responsibility for our communities, schooling the next generation, training the trainer in a critical, rigorous, academic, and yet faith-sympathetic understanding of our faith tradition, and also working with and learning with other communities. We're very honored today to have representatives of different faith communities with us. I will ask Dr. Mohammed Ben Uthman, the principal of the college, to come forward and congratulate the students and say a few words. Under his leadership this past year, the college has done tremendous work. first and foremost accreditation by a British accrediting body. So, Dr. Mohammed bin Affan, please.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. A most hearty welcome to families, special guests, lecturers, and fellow graduates. Today marks the end of a year of hard work and our 32 years anniversary award ceremony celebration in the Muslim College. We are humbled and grateful to Allah for having gotten us this far, and we are further humbled that you, the fellow graduates, have chosen the Muslim College for your education. We are exceptionally blessed and fortunate to have you all to share in this special day. I thank you and I pray to Allah Almighty that we can continue to have wonderful celebratory milestones to share with you. I also want to thank all of the staff members for their outstanding work. You are a remarkable group of individuals whose collective actions deserve my thanks and admiration. I thank you for your unconditional sacrifice and the love you have for your students. May words cannot thank you enough for or pay tribute to your actions. A graduation ceremony is always such a special occasion, the culmination of years of hard work, the actualization of goals attained, and the acknowledgement of success achieved. So it's only fitting that this morning we commemorate the road that students and staff members have all traveled together these last 12 months. It has been a journey that started with the tentative steps perhaps, but one that has taken you to remarkable heights. The Muslim College is committed to promoting excellence in teaching, research, and training. It offers postgraduate students the advantage of a friendly and attentive environment with opportunities to address multidimensional issues by exercising critical judgment and self-discipline. The Muslim College also aims at developing the local community through training, vocational education, and pioneering the new courses. The college has a positive approach to a dialogue between faiths and cultures and has been recognized for its interfaith endeavors. At the Muslim College, students have a unique opportunity within the British higher education system to learn about the challenges faced by the Muslim community in particular and humanity in general. We all came together with the common purpose in mind to encourage and develop lifelong learning in the young and not so young brothers and sisters who sit before us this morning. The end results, brothers and sisters, of our coming together, keeping together, and working together, in spite of obstacles that you may have faced along the way, that end result is the graduating class of 2014-2015. How proud we are of the success that they have made with the opportunities that they were offered. Congratulations. We are inordinately proud of you all. May you always lead by example and work hard and play straight. May your successes be many of your tribulations be few and far between. We wish you everything that you so richly deserve in the years ahead. It has been an honor and a privilege watching your progress and success. Congratulations. Thank you.
So long may the leadership of Dr. Ben Uthman continue, and we continue to work hard under him to take this college forward. Dr. Ben Uthman did mention faculty. Sadly, not all of our sessional faculty are able to be with us today. We're honored to have Dr. Alhaji Matid Rama. Dr. Ahmed Achtar from Heathrow College wasn't able to join us. Dr. Kamal Hussain from Birkbeck College. Dr. Siad Mekic, who has recently relocated to Sarajevo in Bosnia. Dr. Amjad Hussain at Marmara in Istanbul. And last but not least, Professor Sheikh Abdul Mahmoud, who is in a very senior position in a university overseas when I last heard. But all of these faculty, our students have benefited from their learning, and it is only fair and right that their names are mentioned at this juncture. Dr. Ben Uthman also mentioned a number of initiatives of the college. I won't bore you by repeating them, but I will be making reference to them over the course of proceedings this morning. I'm now delighted and honored to welcome Reverend Dr. Nicholas Henderson from St. Martin's Church to come and speak. He has been a close friend, associate of the college, and as he reminds me and Dr. Ben Uthman, we are in his parish, so he is responsible for our well-being. But when two hearts with their vision and with good intention meet, and when communities meet in such a way, beautiful things are possible. And dialogue is important and necessary. When dialogue stops, problems arise, as we see. So it's in this vein that I ask Dr. Henderson to come forward and say some words, please.
Dr. Bennettman, ladies and gentlemen, friends, indeed, as Dr. Hamid has pointed out, you are in my parish. Perhaps I should be welcoming you rather than you welcoming me. We were speaking, that is, Dr. Hamid and I, over a very nice cup of tea before the ceremony began, about the splendid academic hoods which the graduates are wearing, the blue and the gold. They're really very splendid. There are lots of ideas about where these hoods came from, but I'm going to give you my own as an option, that they were originally monastic cowls worn by monks over their heads, which is rather interesting. But then they were worn back on the shoulders, and then in the highly important and significant 17th and 18th centuries in this country, gentlemen started wearing wigs. And the wigs got bigger and bigger and longer, and in academic circles, so the hoods had to move from the shoulder down the back, hence they lengthened. And then suddenly, gentlemen stopped wearing wigs, but the hoods remained long. That is how they got to their particular shape. People have said to me, "You're getting old, Nicholas." They called me by my first name. "It's time you wore a wig as well." Well, if I did, I would wear a very big one, and it would go right down like that. But I'm not here to talk about wigs, just very briefly to say how important the work of this college is, and what a privilege it is to be part of it in giving a few lectures here, and I'm very proud to be able to do so. Because it seems to me that education is the future. It is the important source of understanding. Without education and understanding, we find that we have ignorance and indeed fantasy. and ignorance and fantasy breed trouble and dispute. And in the commonality, the shared inheritances of our different faiths, and indeed our cultures, all of which have gone to form the British culture as we have it today, and of which this college is part, it is important that we know where we come from, who we are, and indeed where we are going to. And so you graduates who have been through an educational system of which you are rightly proud are the future. You are the next generation, and an educated generation who will take both the faith and understanding into the community. And I wish in the commonality that may be said that God may bless you in this, and to repeat again what a privilege it is to be with you today. Thank you.
As well as Dr. Henderson coming to the college and teaching on our world religions course, we are now thinking, we're talking over tea, of investing in experiential education, meaning taking our students out of the college and visiting different places of worship, since our students will be the leaders of our community. And for them to have visited other faith communities in their sacred places is so important, so very important. You learn a lot. And as Dr. Henderson said, once you have understanding, you will remove ignorance. There will not always be agreement, but so long as you are willing to sit, talk, and understand, that is key and important. Back to accreditation. I haven't talked about accreditation yet, so I will now. Dr. Lawrence Watson, the Chief Inspector at ASIC, Accreditation Services for International Colleges, visited the college last year for the third and final stage of accreditation. We passed, alhamdulillah, with flying colours. We're awarded premier status, an elite college in this respect. He sadly isn't able to join us today, but he has sent a short message. And on his behalf, on the behalf of the ASIC team, our accrediting body, and him as Chief Inspector, Dr. Lawrence Watson, I will say a few words. So this is his email, which I'm reading to you. It's not present. Okay. So Dr. Lawrence Watson writes, "Please convey my best wishes to the graduates. The Muslim college's work in upholding the great Islamic tradition of scholarship and intellectual inquiry has never been more important. My exhortation to the graduates is to take that approach into the world and to use it as a platform for mutual understanding between communities. Everyone at ASIC, Accreditation Services for International Colleges, joins me in passing on our congratulations. We look forward to a long association with the college as it embraces new projects." Cue me talking about new projects. Evening classes, Introduction to Islam, Quranic Arabic, Imamship, Community Leadership, and, fingers crossed, our prayers answered, a BA in Islamic Studies with Middlesex University, validated by Middlesex University. So a lot of exciting projects on the horizon, and for that we need to work together, and we need the help and support of our graduates, some of whom will also come back and join us as faculty in these new projects. I think I did promise the students outside that lectures happen in term time. This is your special day, and you won't have lectures and speeches, not too many. So we must start to congratulate our students. We will start with the MA students, and I will take their name alphabetically, the surname first, and I will ask the student to come forward, and I would first like to invite Brother Maruf Ahmed to come forward. shining example of a quiet but diligent, hardworking student. But he's going to be talking in a minute. I'd like to ask Abolore Suraka Banjo to come forward. I said something about Maruf, so I have to say something about Suraka. His smile, his studying class work ethic, but his relaxed approach also, and fun nature has enlivened our discussions in class. So thank you, Suraka. We learn from our students also. We learn from our students. And that's the best way forward. Dina Aisha Khan. Where the MAEA group will be without Dina, all our students are special and important. Aisha, in future, will be joining us as faculty also, so I'd like to congratulate her on that. And her commitment, her dedication, her inspiring others in her year has just been very exemplary. And for that, thank you, Aisha. Brother Alessandro Latif Sanusi, please. Brother Latif's commitment over 2 years of study, 2 years plus, he's done other courses. His dedication coming from afar, balancing study, family responsibility and work, and the work he is doing within his community is so very important. And we are proud that we have had a role in his training and his working with his community. So thank you. And finally, our last student sadly is not with us yet. She hasn't been able to make it this morning. I spoke to her this morning. She will be with us later. I must take the name of Tanya Samantha Williams and congratulate her. Her discussions in class, her beautiful nature, her work in the community as a performance artist is really very exciting and wonderful to see. At this point now, looking at the schedule, I'm going to ask one of our MA students to come forward. They're not so shy, but well spoken. Articulate, Brother Maruf.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. First and foremost, I would like to thank Almighty God for bringing us together in this very auspicious and noble gathering. And I would just like to begin by expressing my happiness and delight to be back in the Muslim College and be surrounded by the wonderful people who are here today. And as Dr. Faisal said, in his humble opinion, that I'm quite articulate, but given the auspiciousness of this gathering, I'm actually quite nervous. Nevertheless, I will share with you a few words about my own personal experience and how the Muslim College has helped me become a better Muslim, a better person as well. And many of you perhaps know that before joining the Muslim College, I had studied Islamic studies at traditional Muslim institutes, Darul Ulooms, both in the UK and also abroad. However, throughout those years studying, I always felt as though there was something missing. And I came to the conclusion that what was missing was in traditional Darul Uloom. They are wonderful institutions. They have done a great service to the Muslim community in the UK and throughout the world. However, their primary focus is to make you a better Muslim. What is different about the Muslim College is their primary focus is to make you a better British Muslim. And this is something I found extremely wonderful about the college, that they don't only provide you with the knowledge, but they provide you with the necessary life skills, they provide you with the necessary tools to be not just a Muslim, but a Muslim within Britain and in Western lands. And this is something which has helped me greatly, especially as since I've left the college, I have, alhamdulillah, become an imam at one of my local masjids. And I believe that my experience at the Muslim college is playing a significant role in how I approach the community, how I conduct myself with Muslims and also non-Muslims. And I would also like to pay a tribute to the staff members, the teachers, and every single member of staff, and also my fellow students of the Muslim college. Because I'm not just saying this to make you happy, I sincerely believe that if it wasn't for these individuals, I would not personally have enjoyed my time here, especially the teachers. They always, one of the things Dr. Benatman said at the beginning of the year was that before a teacher and student relationship, we are your brothers. And this actually made me feel very comfortable. It ensured that I did not feel insecure at any time. And it helped me, it provided me with a positive, it had a very positive psychological effect on me, which helped me study at the college, and it also gave me enough confidence to always approach them. And there has never been a moment in the college where I needed help, when I needed help, and nobody was available to help me. Dr. Faisal was always there, Dr. Benatman was always there, Dr. Musa, and the teachers who unfortunately could not join us today, they were always there to provide support, to provide help. So I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He rewards them for their efforts, and He continues the wonderful work that this Muslim college has been doing for the Muslim community for over 2 decades. And I would like to conclude, I don't want to waste any more of your time, I would like to conclude by thanking everyone for your support over throughout the 2 years I've spent here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
This idea of being quite shy. He's working in the community now and doing wonderful work. But yes, Brother Maruf said, coming from a Darul Uloom background, the wonderful important work the first generation of the Darul Ulooms are doing in our country. But it's interesting that he said that college made him a better British Muslim. I'd like to invite a colleague, a friend, a teacher, Father Frank Kelly.
Assalamu alaikum. May I speak to you in the name of the one true God. Yes, it is wonderful to be back here in this college where I've learned so much, where I've made friendships, where I've learned so much about this great religion, Islam, which is very dear to me, very dear indeed. And thanks to Faisal, a great friend and a great scholar, and to Dr. Benatman for inviting me. And I wanted to say a few words about religious dialogue, which is one of my commitments. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Justin Welby, said that religious dialogue these days is too much about nice people saying nice things about each other. So I've decided I'm going to say a few not so nice things to you. And the first thing is extremism. Now, I'm an extremist. I'm a Christian extremist. I'm an extremist for the sake of transcendence, for the sake of the kingdom of God. In the National Gallery, I was watching a wonderful portrait showing St. Ignatius Loyola, the founder of the Jesuit order. The Pope is a Jesuit. St. Ignatius does this, points up to heaven. I put it on my Facebook. One of my friends, a Muslim, said, "Oh, well, that's Daesh." Well, no, St. Ignatius was not Daesh. But, and my extremism leads me to say that this extremism as for transcendence, for spiritual values, has to be by teaching, by preaching, and by example, not by violence. Fellow clergyman, the president of Iran, President Rouhani, has called on Muslims to improve the image of Islam, because recently the image has been tarnished by the so-called Islamic State with various heinous acts. So once again, this extremism, which I really believe is important, is qualified. by non-violence. Then mutual commitment. We have to work together, not just talk, for the sake of spiritual values, or what is really important, and for social values as well. Because here again, I'm going to be not very nice. The institutional society today is under attack in many ways. And a little of that, otherwise Faisal is not going to invite me again next year. The role of religious leaders, which so many of you are, we should, learning famous hadith. Is it hadith daif? There was a discussion about that. Seek knowledge, even if in China, the Prophet said, well, it's a wonderful hadith. And and also dialogue about theology. The Pope recently visited the Central Synagogue in Rome, and the chief rabbi there told him, we cannot really talk about theology. Theology must not be coming to this. He had his reasons, but I think we should talk about theology. We should. We should talk about the Trinity, and we should talk about the Quran in ways which are friendly, but also scholarly sound. And finally, prayer. Muslims are very impressed by people who pray. And they say they love monks, because in a monastery you see people praying a lot. And prayer really is the unifying factor. It's a form of life which brings us together. And the wicked do not pray. Again, it's very dangerous. Faisal will not invite again next year. But I said I was going to say a few things, some nice, some not so nice. But I'll finish by saying, once again, it's terrific to be here. We are also privileged to have studied here. And yes, Faisal is right. Look how refurbished this has begun. Boy, I mean, it looks fantastic. So, alhamdulillah, it's going to be great.
Thinking back to my history classes, and on the few occasions when Father Frank wasn't present, it would just be so very quiet. There wouldn't be any energy, there wouldn't be any discussion or real debate. But yes, we've always said this college is a safe space to discuss everything and anything. And no question is a silly question. And we will agree to disagree. And we will learn from one another's perspectives. I like what Father Frank said about interfaith dialogue sometimes being perceived as nice people saying nice things about each other. Perhaps we can move on and discuss the not so nice things and difficult things that need discussion. And Father Frank raised a few things, but I will be inviting him back. Rest assured on that front. To also speak on behalf of the MA graduates, I'm going to ask Aisha Khan to come forward and say a few words. I've said before, I'm going to remind you, we're very honored for her to be joining us as faculty later in the year. And I think, not through design, not through anything being engineered or a devious plot, our faculty is male. Over 10 years here, I have seen the students excelling have been our sisters, and where I see hope going forward. And I think that is something that needs to be encouraged and is so terribly important. Our hardest working students have been our sisters, and our sisters play a very important role in our communities, family, work, and schooling the next generation. And I'm so very happy and honored. Aisha has been with us, and she will continue to be with us. Aisha.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamun ala al-mursaleen. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. This brief reflection will hopefully echo the thoughts of my fellow students. The 2 years studying at the college has certainly flown by. Many of us would already have spent time learning about our faith over the years, reading the Quran, studying the Hadith, the correct way to do acts of worship, and so on. Studying Islamic studies at the Muslim College gives us the skills and tools to take the learning up at another level. The module on history briefed us on the glorious Islamic and Muslim civilization that is also visible today in the great Islamic arts and architecture. The famous Islamic and Muslim scholarships of medicine, mathematics, cosmology, as well as religious sciences continues to impact on our learning today. Understanding that these scholars of Muslim civilizations work side by side with scholars from other faiths in many instances opens the mind to how Muslims of the past developed multi-faith working in developing these sciences. I would argue, although I think Father Frank mentioned that we should also be discussing theology, I could also argue that it can be said that some of the earlier and initial theological studies, and particularly Islamic creed, developed through debates with and discussions with the Christians and the Muslim scholars. And the philosophical debates and discussion also go back to the Greek philosophers and onwards. Also highlighted are the different and sometimes opposing Islamic theological thoughts amongst the Muslims, so the arguments have always been there. The studies in Islam in Quran and Hadith helped us to understand some of these sciences, including the science of tafsir and the difficulty of translation. For me, the Hadith studies were perhaps most fascinating in how the collection of Hadiths was done and the rigorous methods employed to ensure authenticity, but also taking into account human error and some misunderstandings. Perhaps what was so most interesting for me was the studies of Islamic law, the understanding of how it developed, the terminology, which is often, more often than not, misunderstood, and the discussions, debates, and the differing views on methodologies amongst the scholars. How during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, questions were asked and revelation came to correct the practice. That people during the time of the Prophet and afterwards did ask questions, but also asked questions after the death of the Prophet on new situations and context, and that the scholars researched and agreed and disagreed. Surprisingly also was how flexible Islamic law is. We are taught that the Quran is for all times and all situations, but yet the pronouncements given today in new situations and contexts do not reflect this. The learning curve for me has been enormous, fascinating and gratifying. Many of you would have heard the saying, knowledge is power. But did you also know that it was Hazrat Ali who first used the phrase? He said, knowledge is power and it can command obedience. A man of knowledge during his lifetime can make people obey and follow him, and he is praised and venerated after death. Remember that knowledge is the ruler and wealth is its subjects. But I also feel that knowledge is relative and very humbling. For the more you know, the more you realize that you don't know. You feel less certain, which is okay. The college provides a great learning environment, and most importantly, it gives a great support to and care to the students. The principal, Dr. Ben Othman's door is always open. Dr. Faisal, who I think listens to all the students' woes, especially at the time, as the deadline for handing in the essays approaches. How often most of us at the time when the handing in the essay comes have thought, I don't have time for this. Too many responsibilities. This is a mistake and this is way over my ability. Only to be continuously encouraged by Faisal. Thank you very much for being there for us. All the tutors at the college have been encouraging and supportive. Dr. Musa's patience in teaching us Arabic, which I think is the most difficult task. Dr. Al-Haji's wisdom in deciphering the information. But I would particularly like to thank Dr. Sayyad Makik He's not here in the country at the moment, but he was my supervisor for the dissertation. His encouragement and guidance was really appreciated. I can honestly say that none of my classes were dull or dry, sometimes overwhelming, but never dull. But I must not forget that the key to all this learning is really to become closer to my Lord. Otherwise, it would all be meaningless. To conclude, I would like to say that none of us operate in a vacuum, and our lives impact on each other. I have been fortunate in having a great teacher over a number of years, Sheikh Muhammad Aden, a hidden gem, who has been a key figure in teaching me my faith. I would also like to say a very big thank you to my family for the encouragement, but none of it I would not have gone through anything without the support of my husband, for which I am truly grateful. Lastly, many thanks to the funders, organisers and the teachers, tutors at this college for this opportunity. I wish the college great success. Thank you.
Can you also round of applause for that? For allowing us to Aisha has been for such a long time and for facilitating that, helping with that. And I'm honored that today we have 6 graduate certificate students. So as we did a little while earlier with the MA, we're now going to do with our graduate certificate students. So I will take their names in alphabetical order. They will come forward, they will be presented with their certificates, and we'll move on. I'd like Sister Libin Abdi Rahman to come forward. Always smiling, always fun, always bringing a pleasant laughter to the class in our program, Sister Libin. The next person, Sister Fatima Adamu, sadly is not with us today, has not been able to join us, but in her absence I would like to congratulate Fatima from France, thought-provoking, asked very important, pertinent questions, sometimes a little uncomfortable, but that were important in class. The next sister, student, Sister Dilara Shara Ismail, please. Dialectical reasoning was first invented by, or thought of by Socrates, correct me if I'm wrong, and it's been continued by Dilara in our college. When Shara's in the class, the faculty has to be ready to be tested and put on the spot. So thank you for keeping us on our feet, Shara, and for contributing in that way. Brother Khalid Yusuf Abdul Jabbar is running late, very late. So he's not with us. But he's been a tremendous person. He's worked in the community, he's working with Islam Channel now, and comes with a lot of life experience. So in his absence, we'd like to congratulate him. All our students are special, all are unique, but there are some students that simply excel, and their work is very bold, ambitious, courageous, and exemplary, really. And I'm going to ask Humaira to come forward. We should encourage our sisters, and I see hope going forward. It's in people like Aisha, Humaira, and all of our sisters here, Muna, Shara, Libin, everyone, that I see a very bright future. Humaira has really excelled in her studies. I am very proud that she's graduated from this college. Really, very, very proud of her. And last but not least, somebody who's been very important to the year group in the graduate certificate class has been Muna Musa. I know how hard Moon has had to work to be here. Sometimes it hasn't always been easy. She's come through with her family, so her family has been by her side also. But well done there, and well done for pulling through, and this is your special day, and we congratulate you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. I'm really humbled and privileged to be given this opportunity to say a few words. First of all, I thank Dr. Faisal, Dr. bin Uthman, the Reverend, for being here. And I congratulate our brothers and sisters on the wonderful job done. I think this is the beginning of the academic journey, really. I'm reminded by the saying of Imam al-Ghazali, al-ma'rifa al-shak bidayat al-ma'rifa. Doubt is the beginning of knowledge. And some of you, I think, have hinted that fact that as a scholar, as a student, that element of doubt has to be there. Because what you say is not the truth, it's part of the truth, probably. And Imam Shafi'i also says that my opinion is right, but has the probability of being wrong. And the opinion of my opponent is wrong, but has the probability of being right. So this, I think, opens our hearts to be humble in academia, that learning curve doesn't stop, as Aisha has referred to. It's an endless curve. The more you know, the more you think you don't know. Like the verse I just quoted from Surah Al-Baqarah, or the dialogue between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels. And the angels are very great and creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they stopped at some point because of their lack of knowledge of some of the things that Allah has given to Sayyidina Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, in terms of knowing things and their concepts and ideas that the angels have no idea about. So what other things also I would like to remind myself and my brothers and sisters is to really show the main aspects of Islam, the universalism of Islam. Allah hasn't sent Prophet except to be mercy to the universe. Actually, Alameen here means the world of animals, of humans, of creations. So that mercy and compassion we could show to the people around us. And also the issue of not only tolerance, but I'll go further, valuing diversity and difference is very important. I think some of you really, I'm very impressed by what Maruf said, to be a better British Muslim. There's no contradiction between being a beautiful Muslim and being a beautiful British person. That Quranic verse that reminds us, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوا في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. How Allah is telling us to do birr, kindness. The birr you do to your parents, you should do to people who don't have any problem with you, your neighbors, your co-citizens. So I think some of these values we go to take with us. Finally, remind myself and you as well of the saying of a wise person, that it doesn't matter how much you have learned, but what do you remember and implement in your life. The good things you have learned, remember them and implement them. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
some study notes here. Put them together and published. This was the graduation ceremony. You can see where I was inspired and who my mentor is, and why I'm so happy that he is going to be more involved in the work of the college, and that is from my heart. A scholar is one not only in his knowledge but in his conduct as well. The more you learn, the more humbler you should be, and that is very important. Thank you for those wise, important words, Dr. Al-Haji Mansur Drama. We're almost there. Bear with us. Lovely hot food is on its way. Janab is waiting, and others. There are staff that need to be thanked who are unsung heroes. They're sitting, my two sisters, they're my brothers and sisters, and I will speak shortly. Before then, as I've said, a student who has really excelled. She's currently doing her master's, and I'm so happy with her work, and I'd like her also to be involved with the college going forward. Sister Humaira Fian.
Assalamu alaikum. I've been at the college for just over a year now, and reflecting back, I can recall my excitement when I first discovered the college, and that happened through a conversation which I had with a very dear friend of mine who was doing the course already. And as she spoke, and she was detailing the program and the areas of study, I saw quite a profound and distinct look on her face. It was a radiance, a glow, her eyes lit up, and I understood and I responded to that. Because what she was in effect saying was that there were treasures aplenty to be had here at the Muslim College. And indeed, through my own experience here at the college, I've come to view it as a kind of treasure chest, for it's lifted the lid on a rich, varied, and profound heritage. In Quran and Hadith, theology and philosophy, history and law, the founders, thinkers, philosophers, and key contributors were introduced. And I, as a student, have been humbled in awe. The earnest endeavours of the founding imams, who articulated sublime methodological reasonings, polyglots including Ibn Khaldun, who left an indelible mark on historiographical thought, and that intellectual giant, Hujjat al-Islam, the proof of Islam, Al-Ghazali, who bequeathed to us manuals, legal, philosophical, and of course spiritual. Suffice to say that these are the treasures which are not merely relics of a bygone glorious age. Their legacy, the ideas and the ideals that they envisioned, in other words, what they've got to say, is as relevant for us today as it was in their own time. And in fact, I've been quite struck by the parallels in terms of the problems and the concerns, the issues that they were discussing. Oftentimes, they're in the midst of remarkably similar political, social and economic contexts. So having the opportunity to make these connections has been the greatest treasure that the college has given me. It's made me inspired and hopeful, and with that has come a real and palpable sense of calm, a sense of empowerment. My thanks to the college for the opportunity and my deep gratitude to the funders for granting scholarships and therefore making possible this exciting journey where these connections have been made and such transformative insights gleaned. Thank you.
Lunch is scheduled for 12:30-ish, and we're a Muslim college, Muslim students and staff, we're doing very good with our time management. You see, research methods again. Rich, varied, profound tradition. We haven't said anything about the World Islamic Court Society that has made all this possible, and is even now able to give scholarships to the most brightest and ablest. When I talk to family and friends about my work at the college and what the college is doing, in the 21st century in London, an accredited graduate certificate and master's program that is fully funded, and then from an awarding body in a country that has difficulties, real difficulties, and is continuing this work. We have to thank Dr. Mohammed bin Uthman and the Council of the World Islamic Law Society and the Core College in Tripoli, Libya, for that immensely from our hearts. Our final speaker for the day. Sometimes you've got to improvise a little with the schedule, and I've really been unfair to her and placed her under the spotlight and asked her to do this. Sadly, Dr. Fuad Hardy has not been able to join us. He's not well, so please remember him. But I'm going to ask Canon Dr. Anne Davison from St. Martin's Church, who has a deep interest in Islam in the Middle East and has written a lot on the area, the subject, to come forward and share her thoughts. She has also worked in the past with Dr. Badawi and Maryam Badawi, both late founders of the college, husband and wife. So, Dr. Davison, please.
Hello, I am unscripted, completely, but it really is a privilege to be here, something I didn't expect, first of all, to be invited, and so to meet you all, thank you very much, and thank you for these few moments, will be a few moments. I've heard so much about education, obviously, and I thought perhaps the best thing I can do in these few moments is to tell you a little bit about my story. You can see that I'm not young, I'm not overly elderly, but when I was young, girls didn't get very many opportunities, and so it's wonderful to see you here. But I grew up in the generation where we were expected to leave school very early and go out and work, which is what I did. And it wasn't until much, much later, when my family had grown up, that I had the opportunity to go back to school. When I left school at 16, I had no qualifications. I had one O-level, actually, which was art, and that wasn't going to get me very far. And so when I was well into my 40s, I took 2 O-levels. One was history, because I was fascinated by history, and the other was comparative religion, because I've always been interested in religion. So I studied all the main faiths: Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, and so on. And I was absolutely gripped by this, and have been ever since. And these words, the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know, is so true. From that moment when I was in my 40s and 2 O-levels, I was fortunate enough, because here in England we can do it, and I would encourage people to. As an adult, I went back to school, and I managed to get those O-levels rather, not even O-levels in history. And I thought, I'm English, I ought to get English language, which I managed. And then I went on and I managed to do a BA, that's without any A-levels or even a BA, managed to get through that. And eventually, to bore you, I managed a PhD. And this was, for the ladies, it was with a family and with children, and actually another job as well. And my PhD was in the whole field of history, comparative religion, but my passion was to help not only myself, but everyone whom I met, to gain a better understanding of the world that we live in. And the one thing that hurts me, always does, ever since I was young, is intolerance, is ignorance, religious misunderstanding, and particularly hatred in the name of religion. It's painful. And this has been my passion, and it's carried me on. And so then I managed, luckily, I actually worked in this area, I meant to say, yes, Dr. Badawi and his wife. I worked with the Roman Catholic Church for a short time in Southall, where we brought together people of different religions to visit places of worship. So the idea of visiting is the best way to do it. Visiting, and this was in Southall, not too far from here. And then I went and worked for the Church of England for 14 years as an advisor in interreligious relations. This was with the Diocese of Chelmsford. Well, I've been retired from there for 14 years, but the task never ends. And now I don't have the physical energy, perhaps, that I had to be charging all around. The old brain keeps going. And I try my best to keep up to date with what's happening in the world, because we learn things, we hear things, but we live in the world. And key, I think, is trying to link the two. It's no good reading books and passing tests and passing exams if we don't actually live it out. And it's making those links. And that for me is so important. So yes, I'm trying to write now because I'm not running around as much. And I've got a little book here in your library. And I'm now writing one on the Ottoman Empire. Because I believe history is so important, the context is important. What happened, a great thing, wonderful things happened in your, Islamic history is amazing. I must stop. Because I could carry on, and I'm not meant to be speaking, and I'm just popped in, so thank you. And I do really wish you all well, especially the ladies. I'm sorry, I'm biased. Especially the ladies. So, really, good luck.
Thank you, Canon Dr. Anne Davison, for that inspiring story, really. And just reminding us of Southall, Little India, not far from here, a gem of a place where so much important work between the different faith communities is happening at a very grassroots level. Dr. Anne Davison is a scholar and will continue to be a scholar, and we will welcome her to the college, particularly drawn to her love of history for obvious reasons. Dr. Alhaji Mantadrama recently said to us over tea, coffee in the common area, you will find the next footballer, you will find the next prime minister, but you'll never hear somebody refer to an ex-scholar. So you're a scholar for life, forever. Drawing things to a closure now, that there are, as I've said before, unsung heroes. There are people who come here every day, who work very hard, and who maybe don't get to stand in front of the camera or have their pictures taken, but who make this work possible and have been doing this for many years. And I want to thank you, Sister Rhoda, particularly. The college longer than myself, and continues to be there for the college day and night, through difficult times, through good times. With Sister Rhoda is also another unsung hero, quiet, very hard work ethic, and it's if the college is looking nice, presentable, it's because of Sister Qadr. So thank you, Sister Qadr. There is a former colleague here, and with whom I had a lovely time working and talking and having lunch and singing the praises of our Indian cuisine, Pakistani cuisine. Janab Abdul Mujib is here. Learning with him to travel the world. We'll no doubt hear him when we go out and have lunch. We'll speak with him. And Ahmed Sharif, student, MA student, he's come along today and is helping the college, as you can see. With Ahmed, he's brought Brother Vasi and Brother Fahim. Rahim. optimistic, positive note. I've been working at the college for a long time, and I'm going to continue to be associated with the college. But my time at the college will no longer be on a full-time basis, but a much reduced role. But you are in very capable and safe hands with all our faculty. And the college has been very important to my life and will continue to be important to my life. I'd like us to make dua for our elders who played a part in building this college today, the late Dr. Zaki Badawi and others who have come and gone, for our parents who we look after, and we have to be there for in difficult times. So this is the part that is genuinely not scripted. I'd like someone to come forward and make dua for the college, for our elders, for our parents, our families, and our communities, and that this work continue, and we always be there for the college and be with Dr. Muhammad bin Uthman by his side. Dr. Musa, please.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. ربنا تب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. واعف عنا يا كريم ونجنا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين الظالمين. اللهم بارك في الحاضرين يا رب العالمين، وبارك في الغائبين، وبارك في المنتقلين برحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. ربنا إننا دعوناك في هذه الساعة المباركة، اللهم افتح علينا وعلى الطلبة الخالدين فتوح العارفين بالله برحمتك يا رب العالمين. اللهم اغفر وارحم لوالدينا ولمشايخنا ولعلمائنا يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم أصلح حالنا وبلادنا وسائر بلاد المسلمين برحمتك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم بارك في هذا المكان، اللهم بارك في هذه الكلية، اللهم اجعلها مكان علم ودعاة إلى قيام الساعة برحمتك يا رب العالمين. واجعل الطلبة القارئين والمؤسسين والمنفقين عليها في الخير والبركة يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. ربنا عليك توكلنا إنك أنت السميع العليم. ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للذين كفروا واغفر لنا ربنا إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Food will be outside. Congratulations will be outside. And you can take photographs also.